Welcome back to another video. In this one, it'll be my review for round 3. I had a pretty decent round in terms of fantasy points, my highest scoring yet, so I'm pretty happy with it. We had potentially the game of the tournament so far, with Ireland number 1 and South Africa number 2 facing off, and it did not disappoint. If anyone watched that game, the crowd was absolutely crazy. It was like there was 60,000 Irish fans in that stadium alone. If you do like these videos, then please subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 3,000 subscribers and we're already building a pretty nice community. I don't think there's another rugby fantasy community out there, so subscribe, get involved in the comments, and let's get into the video. So starting off the weekend, we had Italy versus Uruguay. And to be honest, Italy did put in a good performance, but Uruguay were pretty decent as well. So they do have Namibia up next, and to be honest, that's going to be a pretty tight game, and I do edge Uruguay in that one. I picked up some pretty good points in this round. I had Montiwane, who scored me 39 points, got a try, not too bad. Canone as well on the back row, 45, also picked up a try and got some really decent carries. But the disappointment for me, probably of the round, was Capuozzo. So he scored 14 points, rarely touched the ball. Uruguay just nullified their attack with their breakdown, to be honest. So pretty disappointed there. Lamaro also picks up man of the match, so it might have been good to go 2 back row for this game, but leave out Capuozzo. However, he's breakthrough player of the year, so how could I leave him out? In the next game of the round, saw France absolutely annihilate Namibia, 96-0. This game was where I picked up the most of my points, to be honest. So Antoine Dupont obviously came off with a cheekbone injury, which hopefully he'll be alright for the rest of the World Cup. 106 points, and that's with like 55-60 minutes. Damien Penaud also was my captain, scored 332 points. If any of you triple captained him, it was an absolute field day. And then finally, Jonathan Danty, who scored 41 points, but also 2 tries. So I'm a little disappointed because even though he scored 2 tries, he didn't pick up many points outside of that. The next game was Argentina versus Samoa, and I didn't have any players in this one, but it seemed like Boffelli was probably the pick. He scored a try, also kicked all of Argentina's points, apart from when Sanchez come on, and he picked up man of the match. It'll be an interesting round next round. Argentina have good fixture, so do Samoa, so it'd be interesting to see if we can fit any of these in our team. The next game I looked to target because I thought both sides were pretty evenly matched in Georgia and Portugal, but I did have Georgia just to edge it. However, it did end up in the first draw of the World Cup. So in this one, I had Mamukashvili and Gigashvili, 37 and 29 points respectively for a front row, really isn't bad. And then in the second row, I had Simões and Martins for Portugal. Bit disappointed with Simões at number 8, but Martins at number 7 was my defensive king and scored me 55 points, which I'm actually really happy with. So big kudos to him, he performed well, and so did the whole of the Portugal team. The next game was a pretty delightful game for me, 71-0 to England against Chile. Unfortunately, I did pick one right player, but I gambled a little bit on 2 of them and it didn't really pay off. So in this one, I had Marcus Smith, 101 points. He's a fly half in the game, playing at fullback, and I believe he scored 2 tries. Unfortunately, Billy Vunipola, Carl Sinclair really didn't do it for me. Unlucky number 13 for both of them. The picks here would have been Jack Willis and then obviously 5-try Henry Arundel. If any of you got both of them, Marcus Smith, Arundel or Willis, then big hats off to you. I missed out on a load of points there. However, we can't complain, I did alright elsewhere. The next match saw probably the game of the tournament so far. South Africa 8, Ireland 13. I mean, doesn't sound like a pretty tasty scoreline, but if anyone watched the game, it was insane. I didn't actually pick any players in this one. A bit like the Georgia and Portugal match, I thought it was going to be really tight, but obviously in that game they were pretty cheap, so I could afford budget. In this one, they're pretty expensive, so it was more of a tight call. Bundyaki picked up man of the match again. Really performed strongly in this one, which is hence why I picked Dante, because I thought pretty similar players playing a pretty weak team. So I think Aki is definitely one to look at going forward. On the final day, on the Sunday, Scotland and Tonga faced up. Scotland's second match in the World Cup was a pretty decent win, 45-17 against that Tonga side. Now, I picked two players here, Jack Dempsey and Tui Pelotu. Commentary were singing Tui Pelotu's praises, but I kept looking at my fantasy score and it didn't really reflect. 19 points, it's okay, but I think the way Scotland want to play, especially against a Tonga team, which defence isn't great, Tui Pelotu's used as that, basically the ball playing option. Jack Dempsey, 30 points, can't really complain with that. He put in a pretty decent shift as I expected. Maybe could have got a try or two which would have topped it off, but we'll take 30 points. And then the final game of the weekend saw Wales beat Australia 40 points to 6, an absolute rout, and it looks like that's going to send Australia home. Again, didn't pick any players in this game. I was actually pretty disappointed in myself because having looked at, say, Billy Vunipola, that pick, it didn't come to fruition, 13 points, and I could have picked Wales' captain Jack Morgan, who I know is always going to perform and have a 7 out of 10 at the very least. So I should have picked him, came very close to the man of the match, he scored a try, picked up an assist and a 50-22. So for anyone doubting Jack Morgan, definitely don't do it next time. So that was my round 3. I scored 888 points, all the 8s, and that's my highest score to date. So round 3 was pretty decent. I obviously had a few picks which were not that great. I think a lot of you scored over 1,000 points, so huge congrats to you. And that does take me just outside or inside the top 100 for our league. Number 90, but huge congrats to people at the top. Alex, Michael, fair play to you guys. But there's still a lot to play, and I'm sure I'm going to get up the leaderboards. As always, please subscribe to the channel. I hope you like the video, and get ready for team selection for round 4 because it starts on Wednesday.